Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I should have probably looked at the clock before I started to say what time of day it was, but we are here. This is the FPC official first round mock draft. And as you can see, we have a huge group of FPC experts just hanging out here. Let me get the names up here so everyone knows who the hell you're looking at here, because I don't even know, so I'm going to have to use this to cheat a little bit here. We're going to run through this mock draft live. We're going to go through the first round. We're going to try to take some questions from you on Twitter. If you guys want to chime in, give us your opinion. You got the number down there if you want to call us. If you're feeling ambitious enough, give us a call, 626-310-8882, or you can just text us. Keep it PG, okay, folks. Let's keep the language at an appropriate level. But no, folks, we're going to be having a lot of fun here. We're going to run through this mock draft, so you're not even going to have to watch live Thursday night. But we encourage you because we're going to be live here doing this here too. But we're going to tell you exactly what's going to happen going forward here in the first round. So everyone, why don't we just go around the horn? Everyone, tell everyone how you're doing or who you are actually, and then we'll get started.
Am I first?
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
I'm on the horn. All right. So,
Kyle, I was assuming you were going to jump in and go first.
I got to take the lead here. Kyle Senra, Full Press Coverage Packers and Full Press Coverage Fantasy Pod co-host. And I'm here drafting today for the entirety of the NFC North, but we'll always let everyone know which team I'm aligned to.
It's important. Who do we got? We got Braden here.
Yeah, Braden Holochek of FPC Chiefs, and it's weird to imagine having a first-round pick after Friday, after the Orlando Brown Jr. trade. So I'm still going to be doing the AFC West teams, but sans Kansas City and also NFC West. So focusing on the West Coast today.
Yeah, we tried to tell him not to show up, but he insisted anyways, despite Kansas City not having a first-round pick. Brad, how you doing today?
Hey, doing great, everybody. Yeah, spotlight's down here in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm Brad Harv, and I'm co-host with Kyle on the Full Press Fantasy Pod. Also do some writing for Full Press Jaguars. Just a few days away for things happening here in Jacksonville. So let's get started.
Are you still trying to figure out who the first pick is going to be?
No, not necessarily, but I am planning on taking at least about 7.5 minutes.
Okay.
Just to have the spotlight on Jacksonville, because everybody just badmouths Jacksonville all the time. So they're not going to have a chance to go to commercial before our pick this year. So we're going to milk it for everything that it is.
I like it. Kayla, let me guess. Bills?
Close. We're going to stay in Florida, though. I'm Kayla Morton. I am the managing editor for Full Press Coverage Dolphins. I'm excited that I get to do multiple picks in the first round again this year, just like I did last year. And I'm super excited to be working on launching my own podcast for Full Press Coverage, and Braden and I will be having that debut real soon. So stay tuned for that, and I'm really excited to get that started.
Fantastic. And last but not least, Mr. Carmi, how you doing?
What's up, guys? It's George Carmi. I represent the team with no name, the Washington football team. I'm actually also here to represent the NFC East. Looking forward to conversating with you guys and representing the Washington football team here in picks 10, 11, 12, and 19. So we'll see how that goes.
Fantastic. And look, hey, we're gonna try to we're gonna do a quick run here, a quick little test for all you folks out there. We've been trying to get our man Mike Debate involved here. He's having a little connection trouble. Actually, by the looks of it, he still is having connection trouble. So we're gonna try to get him taken care of here in just a moment. But the way we're gonna do it here is, as you can see on your screen there, if you're watching, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, wherever else, YouTube. That's right, we're on YouTube as well. You'll see we'll have the draft screen up here, and we're doing this live, folks. We didn't pre-plan this. Trust me, we didn't. We're gonna go through, and just everything you're gonna see is gonna be all organic, all natural. This is what's gonna happen, and hopefully we're gonna pick a pretty good first round. So. And of course, we're going to give you our opinions as well, whether you like it or not, because that's what we do here, and that's why we like to do this type of job. We want everyone to know what we're thinking all the time. So, folks, are we ready to go here? Are we ready to rock and roll? Are we going to tell everyone 3 days in advance what's going to happen on Thursday night? Is that the
All right, let's do it.
Okay, fantastic. And just because we spare no expense here at Full Press Coverage, we got a fancy soundbite as well. So when you hear that, you know the pick is in, and you know it's going to be coming. So we joked before that obviously, I think we all know where Jacksonville is going to be going in this draft. But Brad, are you going to throw a curveball at us? Or do you need some time to think in reality? Do you have this figured out? Are you going to have the first quarterback out the board, or are you going to go kicker? Where are you going with this one?
Well, that certainly would seem like something Jacksonville would do based on their history. However, this town is ready to be Trevor Town. It's no longer living in the ghost of Byron Leftwich and Blaine Gabbert, who was here this past week with your boy Ian watching the UFC fight, or even Balake Bortles. I mean, it's time for just something new, something fresh. I mean, it's the reason why Urban Meyer came here. I don't think Urban would have taken the job if he didn't have an opportunity to get somebody like Trevor Lawrence and his full arsenal. One thing that I brought up on the last fantasy podcast was that it's not just his arm strength and his football IQ. He's actually a very good athlete and can move around a little bit. I believe he averaged close to about 30 yards rushing, but they're timely yards. Or they're going to be able to extend the play, extend the drive, and hopefully find some pay dirt. So we're the Jacksonville Jaguars are very excited to announce. If you want to do your little chime.
Oh, that's right. I'm ready to go.
The pick is in. Hopefully, like I said, they take a little longer on Thursday night just to have the spotlight shine on them. But quarterback Trevor Lawrence from Clemson will be the number one pick in this year's draft.
Perfect. And there you go. Right off the board. Trevor Lawrence, number one. But yeah, I mean, we kind of joke around, but this is a no-brainer. This isn't a situation where people are actually debating likely who's going to go for it. No, I mean, we all know this whole dog and pony show of who's going first. It doesn't exist this year. We know what's going to happen. And hey, you know what? For Jacksonville, good for them. There's no pressure. So if they make the wrong choice, they can't make the wrong choice because everyone knows that Trevor Lawrence is the right choice. So good chance for Jacksonville to get back into. And I just want to throw out there, too, that both Byron Leftwich and Blaine Gabbert won Super Bowls last year.
Yes, they did.
with that guy, Mr. Tom Brady, which if you guys want to keep a running tally how many times I mention him in this broadcast, by all means do it. Just if it reaches an inappropriate number, just ignore it and pretend like it never brought it up. So,
I mean, I'd say I'd take a shot for it, but I'd already be off the broadcast. So
yeah, no, we need you, Kayla. I think you have in the last. Yes, you're one of the last to go, so we're going to need you here at the end. But you are taking the next pick now. I've been assured by Kayla that she is not going to sabotage the New York Jets. So again, there's going to be no kicker. Although maybe a kicker might help them, who knows? And
they might sabotage themselves in the real.
Yeah, they might sabotage themselves, but
yeah, they don't need any help.
No, exactly. Yeah, actually, you just letting them be is enough.
Exactly.
No, look, Sam Darnold gets moved in this offseason. He heads down to Carolina. I mean, I think most people assume that they're going to go quarterback. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to go quarterback. The question is, which quarterback? Now, Kayla, are you going to tell us which quarterback, or are you going to throw us a curveball? Because I'm just saying, like, we think we know what's going to happen here, but one pick could throw it all astray. So what say you?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. Obviously, a lot of people thought that the Jets were going to take a quarterback regardless of if Sam Darnold was traded before this draft or not. So now that he's on the move, obviously their biggest need in that locker room is a quarterback. They need a leader. They need somebody whose character is proven. They need somebody who can win games against really tough opponents. Someone that's proven in some of the toughest, divisions in college football. Somebody that has a winning record. Somebody that can find the open guy. Somebody who's really not afraid to get dirty. And even if this player needs a learning curve on the field, I don't think that this player needs any learning curves off the field. So I know there's a lot of talk about guys like Zach Wilson, and I know guys like Mac Jones have come up and are rising stock in the draft, and Trey Lance. I'm up here in Fargo, North Dakota. I'm about 10 miles away from going to see Trey Lance. They shut down a street that I needed to use to go to work when he wanted to shoot his, promo for his NFL draft day. But, the guy who doesn't have his character questioned and has no questions for me on and off the field, except for maybe picking up some blitz coverages, the New York Jets are going to draft Justin Fields with the number 2 overall pick.
Should probably unmute my mic. Justin Fields going number 2 overall to the New York Jets. I should have. There we go. The pick is in. I'm getting used to it. I'll figure it out by pick number 32, and we'll be rolling after that. No, look, all these teams are clearly looking for that next quarterback to step in and be that guy. When you do move Sam Darnold before the draft, I know you mentioned there's a good chance this was going to play out regardless of if they traded Sam Darnold. But this is who they are. This is what they're doing. They're going for the quarterback. They're going for the build with one of these young guys. And according to Kayla, it's going to be Trey Lance. So that brings us.
No, it's going to be Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. I told you folks, we did absolutely no preparation prior to this. We were all doing this on a whim, trying to figure it out, trying to make it the most organic experience for all you folks out there watching. So nothing was predetermined on this draft, folks. So thank you. It's staring. I'm literally staring right at it on my screen, and I still screwed it up. That's what I'm known for. But we are moving to the guy with no team right now, and no, not the guy with a team with no name. We're talking about a guy with no team in the first round, and that's Braden Holochek. Braden, who's going to be the third? Is it going to be a quarterback? I know I keep forcing the pick on you guys, saying, "Oh, is this going to be a quarterback?" No, it might not be. Our San Francisco, who they're in the news. They seem to be in the news every single day. They're deciding who is it going to be. It's going to be quarterback A, quarterback B. Is it going to be player C? Is it going to go back to Jimmy G? I don't know. Who knows? But Braden does. Braden, where are they going with round 4 or number 4?
It's crazy seeing that report from Rappaport that it's down to possibly Trey Lance and Mac Jones. I know that San Francisco, they usually do a pretty good job though of keeping things private. No one really knew that John Lynch was going to be the general manager. They kind of came out of nowhere with the Jimmy G trade and trades for Trent Williams. So I'm sure they're still debating right now. And I think if this situation came up, I honestly think Trey Lance makes a lot of sense, but I'm going to go with Zach Wilson here. I think he's kind of the guy that out of the 3 quarterbacks remaining. Personally, I think everyone talks about Kyle Shanahan's offense and what the perfect quarterback is for that. And I think Zach Wilson, of these 3 guys that are left, he can take that to the next level. Working on the wide zone action, a lot of play action stuff, being able to throw into the middle of the field and throw on the run. So I think if Kyle Shanahan and San Francisco want to take that next step, I think they can do that and take their offense to the next level with a athletic quarterback like Zach Wilson.
Now, okay, so here's an opportunity for us to take a quick little discussion because as a lot of us anticipated, the first 3 picks in this draft went quarterback. And like I said, when we started this broadcast, this is exactly how the first round is going to go on Thursday. You're not even going to need to watch it, so just take our words for it. Of those 3 quarterbacks, and we can talk about some, the other guys in this mix too that could have gone maybe 3rd overall. Is it very clear that Trevor Lawrence has the highest ceiling, or are we seeing, or is he just the most ready to go player right now? What do you guys think? Whoever wants to chime in, feel free.
I would say highest floor because of that, like the safeness. Like it seems like he's not gonna bust. Like it seems like he's almost bust proof. Like as much as you can't, nothing's guaranteed, as Kyle Shanahan let us know today. Although I think we already knew that. But I think he is the safest floor for sure. I'm not sure about highest ceiling. I think you see could Justin Fields be Lamar, like the better version of Lamar Jackson, like that absolute rusher. And a better passer. Like that to me seems like ultimate ceiling because that could win some MVPs and teams could win from that. Can Zach Wilson learn to throw on the run as accurately as Russell Wilson, his namesake, or like Patrick Mahomes? Because that ceiling seems large too. So I won't say unequivocally Lawrence has the highest ceiling.
I would jump
Yeah, I
in
gotta
here and
remember
say
to
that
keep up.
everybody feels the most comfortable with Trevor Lawrence. Everybody kind of feels like they know what they're gonna get. But I don't really feel like this draft loves Justin Fields. You're thinking that the Jets are gonna take somebody like Zach Wilson. Yeah, he had a better season statistically, but he didn't play at Ohio State, and he didn't play against the teams that Ohio State was playing against. So yeah, maybe Justin Fields had a little bit of a down season based on analytics, but when it comes to character, like I said, and being pro-ready, I think this draft is not giving Justin Fields any love, but I think he is more pro-ready than somebody like Zach Wilson is right now, and I like, how he can be a pocket passer, and the Jets went out and got Corey Davis. So, they're not just kind of leaving him out to dry. I don't think Corey Davis is the best wide receiver that they could have gotten, but they still went out and got a receiver to help the quarterback they knew that was going to come in. So, somebody who, it's safe to go with Trevor Lawrence, but yeah, you have one season that you kind of know about from Zach Wilson or Trey Lance, but, Justin Fields has never lost a Big Ten game. So he's playing in the Big Ten, and that should tell you more than you need to know about somebody like Zach Wilson. So I think, even though the draft is not giving him a lot of love, he has a really high ceiling. You might not feel really safe about him, but can we all really say we know how to analyze quarterbacks or we know exactly what we're going to get? If we did, then you wouldn't have asked us this question. So.
Well, I guess this next question is specific to the 49ers. If they go this quarterback route, is Jimmy G still the starter week one? Because they don't necessarily have to move on from him, but is he the starter week one?
It's interesting because it sounds like Shanahan was pretty blunt regarding his injuries. So I think they're going to just make sure he's in a good state of mind right now and healthy before they kind of make any big decisions on that.
Yeah, look, I'm of the belief that Jimmy G is going to be on that roster. I don't believe the love affair. I mean, some Patriots fans love Jimmy G. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense for me to see the Patriots go out and make a move for Jimmy G. So what's his market? I don't see a big market out there for Jimmy G. I see him with the 49ers next year. Now, does that mean he's going to start every single game? I don't know. I mean, it depends on how again, in this situation, Zach Wilson does. But we will obviously get a better answer to that question on Thursday. And maybe at least more of an idea, maybe not an answer, because, really we might not get an answer until week one of this upcoming season. So I guess that brings me to, me, actually. So we're actually moving on to the Falcons, who really are an interesting and intriguing team. And they've kind of jumped into the news a little bit here today because the rumors floating out as it kind of has almost like it seems like every year, but they're taking calls on Julio Jones. And, for the first time in a while, I actually believe that they might move him if there's a opportunity to do so. I think in the past when this was brought up, I just laugh and I'm like, they're not moving Julio Jones. They're not moving Julio Jones. They're a franchise right now that's, they're kind of caught in the middle. They're not the best team in the division. They still have a really good veteran core, the Matt Ryans, the Julio Jones of the world, that are capable of playing at a championship level. Capable is the key word, because they don't always actually, do that. I don't think that they're ready to just, call it quits and be like, you know what, this is it. We got to rebuild. We got to move on. That's why I didn't really see them as someone who would seriously consider moving on from Matt Ryan. So in this case, I think they go for, really one of the best players available right now. And that's Kyle Pitts. For years, Matt Ryan excelled with a guy like Tony Gonzalez. Obviously, in my opinion, the best tight end I've ever seen, and that includes Gronk. I take into account the longevity of Tony Gonzalez's career and how impactful he was for so long. you add this to this mix of players. Now, this is assuming they keep Julio Jones. Now, if they decided to trade Julio Jones, this could screw up our entire first-round draft pick or first-round mock draft because, in reality, they could throw a huge, just curveball to everyone by trading Julio Jones and moving around this draft. So I don't think it's necessarily going to happen, so I'm going to assume that it doesn't, and I'm going to say they go with Kyle Pitts here because – really, if you want to improve your offense, if you want to get guys to help Matt Ryan at the tail end of his career as you prepare to draft the future, Kyle Pitts is the guy to go with. So Atlanta Falcons, number 4, the first non-quarterback off the list, and so far no defensive players. So right now we were going to have our guy Mike Debate. He's having a little trouble connecting if you didn't see his face pop up here for a second here and there, but we're going to have to move on. We're going to go back to our guy with no team in the first round, Braden. Oh, wait. Who said they were going to take the Bengals?
I can take it unless anyone else wants it.
Okay, Kyle is chomping at the bit to talk right now. So we're going to move on to the Bengals at number 5, who also hold a pretty interesting position and, of course, interesting decision to make for them. So what do you think about the Bengals?
Well, right off the bat, I'll get this out of the way. We are sticking with offense here. I think the Bengals have 2 very clear needs and, could take the best player at either position right now. And thinking it's positions that not only need top-end talent, but also need depth. So it's both positions the Bengals might hit a few times in the draft. So if you look at that, and I'm going to go off something Scott Connor's been saying, a really brilliant analytical mind, lives in the close to Cincinnati area, so obviously follows the team really closely and well. And he's looking at the way the draft board's going, and he actually thinks the better play for the Bengals, even though Penny Sewell is kind of the expected pick. Okay, you got to go tackle, especially maybe even overreacting to Joe Burrow's injury. The need for, obviously an elite tackle is important in the NFL. They did take a tackle early already, and it seems like some of the biggest holes for the Bengals are in the middle of the offensive line. Whereas, they've lost A.J. Green, and the wide receiver depth is not great at all. You've got Tyler Boyd, you've got T. Higgins. You want to give Joe Burrow a third weapon, a weapon that he's already had before. You run this 3 wide receiver set. And I think the quality of tackles that could be available for them in the second round, I think is much greater than the receivers available in the second round. So if they really do feel like they need their right tackle or a left tackle and move Jonah, I can't think of his last name, but if they want to move him to right, I think they can afford those options later. But I think they won't be able to get a receiver of Jamar Chase's caliber in the second round. So the Bengals, with the 5th overall pick, will be going with LSU's Jamar Chase.
There we have it. I was thinking you were going to go offensive tackle there. So we got my first internal surprise, I guess, of the day. And no, you brought up some great points because we look at this Bengals team, and this is not a team that's a player or 2 away from competing. They're in it for the long run right now, building around Joe Burrow, building a team that could hopefully compete in the next couple of years. Maybe they see the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger. That era is ending. He's going to be back this year, but I'm guessing it's probably not going to last too long. The Ravens obviously are a pretty good team, and the Browns are. We're still, again, I have higher hopes for them this year, but we're still trying to figure out what the Browns actually are because, we have some expectations about what Baker Mayfield can do. They're still trying to put it together. So, give the Bengals some time, let them build their team the right way. That's why I thought you were going to go offensive tackle there because, as much as they need wide receivers, I have flashbacks to watching 2 defensive ends or 2 tackles or linemen just come barreling in at Joe Burrow. And I see a kid who's already missed significant amount of time in his rookie year. And if it doesn't matter how many wide receivers you have out there, if that keeps up, he's not going to be on the field and you're not going to go anywhere. So definitely a big choice for the Bengals, no doubt, because again, they can go wrong here. That's the thing. I talked about Jacksonville. You can't go wrong if you're Jacksonville because guess what? You're going to draft Trevor Lawrence, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. If not, well, oh well. In this case, they can go wrong, but I think you have 2 pretty good, solid choices there between the tackle and, of course, the wide receiver. So that brings us to perhaps one of the stars of this draft, and one that has been quite active, and certainly going to be active even on this day. That's the Miami Dolphins, who, again, have already wheeled and dealed a little bit in this draft and hold quite a powerful position here at pick number 6 because, yes, the top 3 quarterbacks are off the table, but perhaps another team is desperate enough to jump back into it, or maybe Miami is just going to take the best player available. Kayla, what say you?
So I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins were getting calls right now to move out of 6, but nobody in this little video has called me, so I'm going to go with the fact that the Dolphins do need to take somebody at 6, and having Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase off the board is not surprising. Just like you said, there's needs for both of them on the teams. I mean, I would argue that Atlanta needs a defensive player before they need anything else. So if they passed on an offensive player and they kept their spot at 4, I mean, I could see them trading down too and just getting more draft capital. So there's definitely a lot of options on Thursday. I think it's smart for Cincinnati to take an offensive lineman because, like you said, Ian, Joe Burrow can't be running for his life. I mean, he was a viral video last year during their workouts when the whole defense came running through the offensive line before the season started. So there's no question that, even Joe Burrow even if he's the leader and he wants to give input, you can trade back into the first round, or there are going to be wide receivers that are sleepers. We are, as a website, we've done a lot of draft profiles that even tell you. So if you just read them, then you know that in the second round, there are plenty of receivers you can go get. So with that being said, we're going to stick on the wide receiver track for number 6, and it just makes the most sense for the Dolphins to stick with Alabama, and they're going to take Devonta Smith to help out Tua Tagovailoa. He's somebody that can help the Dolphins on the outside or in the slot. They have Devontae Parker, but he's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde wide receiver. So if they need Smith to go on the outside or run through the slot, they have him at both places. His accolades speak for himself. We don't need to go through all of them because our show is only so long. He's proven to work with Tua. I feel like his routes are very fluid. He's effective on many levels. He has varying route tempos, so it keeps coverage on people's heels. So I don't think that he drops a lot of catchable balls. He has a lot of control when he's on the ground and through the air. Something that Miami doesn't have a lot from their wide receivers. We probably went through a dozen dudes last year, and I don't need to be doing that again. So we're going to go with Devonta Smith.
All right, so here we go. We're 6 picks in and 6 offensive players. I wonder if that trend is going to change anytime soon. So, let's ask. We're going to Kyle. We're going up to the NFC North with the Detroit Lions. The
All right,
Jared Goff-led Detroit Lions. You got to let me finish.
Are we sure about that? Because that's actually my point that I'm going to bring in.
Ooh,
interesting.
All right, so we got the trade happen, right? They trade away Matthew Stafford. They move on from their franchise. They get a couple picks back. They also get Jared Goff back. But from the looks of it, they didn't trade for Jared Goff. They received Jared Goff as part of a package. I don't think the Lions are necessarily tied to him. I think they did that because the Rams needed to move Goff to make the money work. And I think that's more what that was about. Because they still got 2 firsts and a quarterback. So they clearly, it doesn't seem like Goff was much of a factor in the draft price for either team. Right? Or, big factor again for the Rams just to get rid of the contract. So I don't think the Lions are necessarily tied to them. I think they're thinking, okay, we are far away. We've mentioned a couple times. All these teams picking near the top, they're not a quick fix away. So if you've got a chance at a quarterback that you think could be a game changer, I already mentioned how I could think Fields and his speed and ability, and him as a weapon on the ground also helps with his passing and can make that even better. So that's what the advantage of Fields. You get a similar type of athleticism with Trey Lance. And so I think the Lions, much to my chagrin as a Packers fan, because one thing that's certain to the Packers, they cannot defend rushing quarterbacks. It's awful. And I really hope the Lions don't do this. So maybe this is me putting that out there as kind of to reverse jinx it, but I have Trey Lance going to the Lions at number 7.
Ooh, see, that's a little bit of a curveball. So now we have 4 quarterbacks off the board, and perhaps our guy who just maybe joined us, maybe he's connected. Can he hear us? There's 4 quarterbacks off the board, my friend Mike. If you're paying attention there. So hold on just a second. I gotta do the draft. There we go. See, there's a lot of pressure on me to get this done, and I'm switching between computers, trying to get the right draft pick, and the last thing I want to do is pick the wrong person here. So, actually, now it's to me. We're moving on to the Panthers, the NFC South. We've already talked about Sam Darnold being moved. I don't necessarily think they view Sam Darnold as the future. I think they're taking a flyer on a kid who's obviously fallen out of favor and certainly isn't going to get better with New York. And you can't go wrong, taking off the scrap heap of the New York Jets, because we know the Jets are more often than not ruining those players versus the players ruining themselves. So maybe Sam Darnold finds some new life in this new system, in this new setup here in Carolina. That doesn't mean that the Panthers are certainly married to him long term. And but in this situation, when you have 4 quarterbacks already off the board by the time the Panthers pick, I don't think that they're going to go quarterback in this situation. I look at it as, well, how do you build this team? Well, you have a quarterback, presumably. You obviously have a running back in Christian McCaffrey. Well, what's the best thing you can do for both of them? Give them some offensive line. And in this case, they're going to go with Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern to help shore up that offensive line. They're going to bypass the quarterback. There's 4 of them off the board, so they're not going to want to go into that at the moment. So in this case, they're going to go offensive tackle and try to beef up that line and really protect Sam Darnold and give a guy, like, not that he needs it, but Christian McCaffrey a little bit more help, even though he could pretty much run with no offensive line. But in this case, they do add to their offensive line with Rashawn Slater. So there we go. Number 7 in. So we are now to the Denver Broncos. Braden, what are they going to do here?
Honestly, if Trey Lance was on the board, I would have considered it. I think that this team, you look at what they have, both sides of the ball. I really think they're a quarterback away from getting back into the playoffs. And Vic Fangio, great head coach. I think this is kind of a draft where not only do they need to add competition for Drew Lock, but I think they just need to get their next potential guy in there before Fangio's time passes them by, so to speak. So if Trey Lance were on the board, or if they think they can trade up a little bit, I would not be surprised to see that Thursday night. But I think in this situation, kind of just going to go with the best player available situation. I'm going to go the first cornerback off the board here, and I'm going to go with Alabama's Patrick Surtain II. They did add Kyle Fuller and Ronald Darby, the cornerback room, but I think if you get a young guy in there, potentially there for the long term, and we know how good pass defense that Fangio can coach, so I think you get the first cornerback, take the one of your choosing, and I'm going to go with Surtain II.
If that doesn't make some of us feel a little bit old, seeing some of these juniors and the seconds hopping into the draft after watching their parents play, well, I don't know what else will do that to you. So, first defensive player, there we go. Yeah, there's some people that are questioning, and I don't know how realistic this could actually be, that you're going to talk about, maybe like enough to fit on your hand might go in the first round, if any. And we're talking defensive players, because it seems like this is going to be a very heavy offensive draft. So, and here we go. Finally, George sitting on the sidelines this entire show.
Laying low, staying quiet over here. Exactly right. So
exactly ready to pounce though, because he's got three in a row,
three big decisions, and you guys are sniping me too. So I have to kind of roll with the punches here. So, starting off with the Dallas Cowboys, my hated rivals. So, obviously, we have Dak Prescott, awesome offense for the Cowboys. He started off with a torrid start. He was the NFL's leading passer through the first 7 games of the year before he got injured. The Cowboys' problems is not their offense. They do have Ezekiel Elliott. I know his yards per carry were a little last year. They had Michael Gallup. They have Amari Cooper. They're well-rounded. CeeDee Lamb. Their offense is not the issue. Their issue is that their defense is a sieve. They basically just give up points, at will. They are at a deficit of negative 78 points per year for points against. They also, let me take a look. I had another stat that I want to pull up. They also gave up 34 passing touchdowns last year, so one of the worst in the league, the 27th worst pass defense. I had my eyes set on Patrick Surtain. That was a match made in heaven. I think it's going to happen, but I got sniped. So I'm going to go to the next best corner, and I'm going to get J.C. Horn from South Carolina. That guy's a dog. He is Joe Horn's son. He is a press man corner. He's a big boy. He's 6'2", 205, I believe, or maybe 6'1", 205. He's a big guy, but he's basically up in your face, a lot of energy, and unfortunately, he's going to bring a lot of attitude to the Cowboys defense that I don't want to see. So J.C. Horn, South Carolina.
Yeah, I was going to say the Bucs had a lot of success going with a son of a former defensive back last year in the draft, and Antoine Winfield Jr. And here I am talking about Patrick Surtain, and there you go, J.C. Horn, another child of someone that several of us grew up watching. But yeah, look. You're right, Dallas. They have offensive weapons. They haven't been short of offense for several years now. Going back to their, when they first drafted their offensive line that made very little money, but was clearly one of the best in the league. And now it's kind of they're a little bit older, but they still have the offensive talent around Dak Prescott. So bulking up that defense is only going to do them wonders. So I like it. I like the pick for Dallas. We're not going to have to look too much further because we're going right back to George. Or here we got the Giants, the New York Football Giants.
So this is killing me. So we have 10, 11, 12, 3 NFC East teams in a row. Big Blue, this is going to break my heart because this is a Washington football need as well. So for those of you that have been keeping track of the Giants, they've actually been ascending at the end of the year. I think they start off very low. I think 5 of their last 7 games, something along those lines, or they had a little stretch at the end. Their defense was ascending. They have James Bradbury. They added Adoree Jackson. They have Big Cat Williams, Jabril Peppers. Their defense was their calling card. I wanted to go offensive line, so Penei Sewell was very interesting to me. I'm very intrigued. But I think they're going to keep building around their defense. I think Micah Parsons is going to fit right into their defense. It's be a nightmare for the Giants. I'm going to hate that as well. But Micah Parsons adding some oomph to the New York Big Blue over there. Penn State.
Look at that. Now all of a sudden we have multiple defensive players just flying off the board here. And it looks like our buddy Mike is still powering through this pick as we get closer and closer to the Patriots. I think we're working through it, folks. Don't worry. He's communicating with me, and we'll make sure that we get that in. Look, I like the pick as well. That's obviously watching the Patriots for years. I mean, I just assume they're going to draft defensive players in the first round. So you always want to keep an eye on those linebackers, those defensive ends. And look, I mean, the NFC East, this is not a division that is anyone's to be had. I think Washington and, like you mentioned, the Giants, I think they're probably the 2 best teams in the division right now. I like where the Giants are going. I liked what I saw from Washington. Obviously, they have they might get a little bit of an injection at the quarterback position this season. However, the top spot for team in this division is certainly still up for grabs. So who is, the Eagles, I think, moving on to the next team on this list, the Eagles, I think, have the longest path to go to become relevant again. I think they're an absolute mess by virtue of them trading away Carson Wentz before that monster contract even kicks in, which is, we don't have to go down that road because that is a time and a place for a book to be written about how that whole relationship fell apart. But the Eagles are, in my opinion, clearly the very bottom of the barrel of this division, albeit all these teams finished with sub 500 records. I think this is a team that is much more indicative of what their record is as opposed to the other ones, as George really put so well. Some of these teams started to play much better towards the end of the season, and generally teams like that can build off that going into the next year. So how do the Eagles start to take at least a step forward? Because right now I feel like they've had to take 16 steps back. How are they going to go forward? What's the pick going to be? And is this pick going to be the one that changes their future? George.
So it breaks my heart, right? So pick 10, 11, 12 are basically some of my 3 favorite prospects of the entire draft. We saw J.C. Horn, lockdown dog corner, Micah Parsons, a blitzing linebacker, all world 4'3", 240. And then Right here, man, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, Alabama connection. I was looking at Devontae Smith, but my girl Kayla sniped him again. So basically, I'm looking at Jalen Waddle, and basically, I want some production. I just want some big plays. Arguably the most explosive wide receiver in the draft. Played 5 games last year. Runs a 4.3 40. I think he's 6 foot 180. He averaged 21.1 yards per catch last year. So this guy is explosive, and I think he's like a more refined Henry Ruggs. Like looking at these wide receiving class, it's like I'd say Jalen Waddle is a more refined, Henry Ruggs. I would say Devontae Smith's more refined Jerry Jeudy. We kind of see those little route runners and explosiveness there. Jalen Waddle's been compared to Curtis Samuel, been compared to what's his name, Tyreek Hill from the Chiefs. I do think he's going to create some big plays for Hurts, and they're going to try to get Hurts on the right path. And if he doesn't, the next year they're going to be looking at someone else. So it's kind of the trial and error for Hurts this year.
All right, so there we go. We you just showed the incredible objectivity of the folks here at Full Press Coverage, because despite having to pick for three of your team's rivals, you did so very admirably. And again, like I said, as we started the show, this is exactly how the first round is going to play out here this coming Thursday. Moving forward, we have not the San Diego Chargers, but the Los Angeles Chargers. I think most people have gotten over that. I don't think anyone calls them San Diego, not too often anymore. But they are the Chargers, and they are a team that look. I mean, right now, everyone obviously, Patrick Mahomes is the man up in the AFC West, but this is a division that might have 2 of the best young quarterbacks clearly in the NFL, with Justin Herbert and what he did last year, setting both the passing and the throwing touchdown record. Something I predicted for Joe Burrow, but unfortunately he got injured and didn't have a chance to do that. But Justin Herbert obviously emerged last season in a very unexpected way. Tyrod Taylor was supposed to be the starter to start for San Diego. See, here I go. I just screwed it up right there. For Los Angeles. But a medical mishap led to Justin Herbert taking the reins there in week 1, and he never let go. And rightfully so. I mean, he had a fantastic rookie season despite Los Angeles' struggles, despite the Chargers' struggles. So this team has a lot of promise. They have a lot of hope, and it all really starts with the quarterback. And it kind of helps that they have a lot of foundational franchise pieces already on this team. So Braden, where do the Chargers go here with pick number 14 or 13 rather?
I think it's got to be offensive line, and they got to fix the left side. So I would not be surprised to see them make 2 offensive line additions in this draft. They got the right side down, I think, pretty good, but left tackle is a big priority for them. And honestly, this is something that a lot of NFL insiders have reported could play out. You see maybe Slater go ahead of Penei Sewell, but you mentioned it. I mean, Justin Herbert, in order for him to continue to ascend, I think in a high-flying AFC West division, you got to get him a lot more protection. And Penei Sewell, kind of a gift here that I think he's on the board. So I think this would be a rush to the podium moment for the Chargers with their new head coach and new staff there, taking Penei Sewell out of Oregon.
Yeah, I think I think excuse me, the Vikings, the Chargers are certainly watching what the Bengals do, because they I think going offensive line is obviously one of their priorities, if not their top priority. And the more of these offensive linemen that are available, excuse me, the better for them. And I think, like you said, the fact that he's still available at 14, you'll take it. So hold on, I got to check, because I think we might actually finally have the 6th member of the 7th member, lucky number 7, the 7th ring here of our group. Mike, can you hear us? Are we coming in loud and clear, or is this just wishful thinking? All right, I'm going with wishful thinking, because I thought he was connected, but it's all right. We have one more pick before we get to him anyways, and the Patriots, because of course they have a pretty big selection here to make with number 15. So number 14, Minnesota Vikings. Going back up to the north to Mr. Kyle Senor. Kyle, what's happening?
Mike, are you here now?
Oh, we got a 7.
We got a 7.
He's moving at least.
Yeah, I think that's when you mentioned he was the 6th man. That's when he did that. So I think that's a bit of a delay. Yeah, so I think we'll be a while. Which was part of me. Do I make this pick immediately so Mike can make his, or do I drag it on and go slowly?
No, you can make yours, and
Yeah.
we'll talk for Mike if need be. We'll see. We'll test our luck when we get to 15. If not, I'll communicate with him. Oh.
You get about one word.
Oh my God! I think
Like Mac Jones has started off.
Yeah,
with
Mac Jones, exactly. Mike, can you hear us? Are you there? It's okay. We'll work with it. We'll figure it out. Go ahead, Kyle. With number.
Well, it
4.
is funny because I can be quick. It's a lot of copy and paste what Braden said. You look at the Vikings. The right side of the offensive line is solid. They've made some really heavy investments there. But you look at the left side, that left tackle spot could really use a player. Just seeing, Sewell actually going to fall to the Vikings? Another big fear of mine as a Packers fan. Thankfully, Braden took him, so I don't have to. But I'll go right back to the offensive line. Probably the next highest ranked guy, I see him a lot as the third guy in a lot of consensus, is Christian Darrisaw. Seems like he's a very physical player, can really help in the run game, and we know that's the priority for the Vikings is running the football as much as left tackle pass protection. I think Darrisaw also works with their run scheme as well. So yeah, not too much more to say there, just in case maybe we don't have Mike, so maybe I should delay some more. But Christian Darrisaw to the Vikings at 14.
No, it's okay. I've put in word to Mike. I told him his pick is up, and if he misses it, well, that's it. The Patriots don't get a first round pick. Where we heard that before.
Not too much pressure.
Yeah, not too much pressure. No, look, obviously, for the first time in quite some time, the Patriots are obviously really center stage. I don't want to say center stage, but more so than they have been in the past when it comes to drafting because of where they're at as a franchise. I think they've done a great job of improving across the board, improving their team. The big question is quarterback, and I'm not saying one way or the other whether or not Cam's going to be the right guy for it, but they've put enough players in position for him to succeed, which again doesn't mean that the Patriots aren't adverse to picking a quarterback, and maybe we're going to have our guy here connect and be able to give his pick, because I think he's feverishly replying to my text if I can notice the little buttons going down on my phone right now. So we might be getting his pick regardless. Hopefully he can give it for us, but based on the frozen screen, I'm guessing not. Look, I for the Patriots, they're not I personally am not a big, huge fan of taking Mac Jones, number 15. That's just my own personal opinion on the matter. He is available in this situation, and I'm waiting for word for our FPC Patriots managing editor as to who he wants to take. So I'm going to try to drag this out a little bit longer if you couldn't tell. But anyways, no, this Patriots team is talented across the board. They added a bunch of players in free agency. They already have some really good foundational pieces. Obviously last season was the first year in 20 years that they had to worry about the quarterback position without Tom Brady. And, they were fortunate enough to be able to get a guy like Cam Newton. He didn't have the best season. There's a lot of reasons for that. It may be a skill deficiency. It may just be situational deficiency based on just everything that happened throughout this season or this past season to the Patriots, opt-outs, injuries, COVID, all that stuff. But this season, there are no excuses. So whether or not the Patriots go forward with Cam Newton, whether they go forward with Jarrett Stidham, which I don't believe that, or if they go ahead and draft a quarterback, which I don't know. Are we going to draft a quarterback, Mike? And he's leaving us hanging. It's okay. I know he's working with his connection here, trying to get this all right. But I'm about to, I guess, go ahead and almost pick for him. You know what? Actually, this is what we're going to do. This is the power of technology, folks. I'm going to call him. I'm going to get him on the line here, and we're going to get him to give us his pick. Yes, exactly. If not, we can all just leave a message for him, and I can call him and everything like that. If he doesn't pick up, I'm going to broadcast his number to everyone so they can call. So we're going to call him right now.
That's not the call text number on the screen?
Oh, that is. Hold on. We got to get I'm not even connected. Hold on. I'm dropping the ball here myself. It's all right. This is what we do. We're
It's delay tactics. It's perfect. This is
exactly. We're
do
gonna
we do a first half of the first draft recap.
He was typing in the chat. Go ahead.
He was. Okay, go ahead. No, maybe not. Maybe I lost him. Can Mike hear us?
Okay.
Oh, I heard something. Michael?
Am I here?
Yes. Everyone can hear you. You're there.
Excellent. Okay. See, everybody can hear me. That's good.
Yeah. So you are up, Mike. You know what? I actually kind of feel like Regis Philbin right now. It's like, yeah, we got Braden here, and he's won $500,000, and he's decided to call you, Mike, for his phone a friend.
Boom, boom.
I guess I'm a lifeline now.
Yeah,
That's good.
You're something, all right. Yeah. So we're at pick number 15, Mike. And if I know you've been hopping in and out, and it's been unfortunate that you've been unable to connect. It seems we've had some problems with the with actually bringing you into the screen here, but I know you've been paying attention. So the Patriots are up, my friend, and the big question is, where are they going to go at pick number 15?
You know, that's $1 million question, bud. I mean, I know everyone's expecting them to go quarterback here. The more I'm thinking about it, it's difficult. It's difficult to say that whether or not a quarterback is the actual move here for the New England Patriots. Mac Jones is good value at number 15, but I'll tell you, I'm going to go in a different direction, and I think I'm going to raise a lot of eyebrows here. But this is a player that I've had my eye on for quite some time. I think he makes a great fit in the New England Patriots system. I'm going to do a very Belichickian move, my friend, and with the number 15 pick in the FTC draft, I am going to select for the New England Patriots linebacker Zaven Collins out of Tulsa.
Good pick.
If the folks might have seen it on the screen, but I had hovered the mouse over the draft prior to you saying that because I had a feeling, my friend. I had a feeling that's what it was going to be. Thank you very much.
Well, you listen to Locked On.
Yeah,
you listen to Locked On Patriots, so you know this guy. So this guy, and I'll tell you, it was tough for me to lay off Rashad Bateman too. Another one of my draft, crushes. But look, bottom line, this kid I think offers such an exciting blend of size, length, power, high football IQ, tremendous versatility. I think he's one of the more NFL-ready prospects. I'm a little surprised he's not ranked higher in some of the big boards, including the TDN board that we're using right now. But I think he has the ability to make those high-impact clutch plays that can make him a staple in a Belichickian defense for quite some time. I love Michael Parsons. To me, he's the best defender in this class. But I tell you, I think Zaven Collins is a close second, and he was hard for me to lay off here.
Perfect. See? Technology is great. We're going to get you back here, buddy, because you got the Stillers. The Stillers, my friend, coming up.
I'll be ready.
Okay, good. We'll be on you. Big shout out to my guys over there to pull me out of the fire when it came to the Bengals. Thanks a lot, but I'll be ready for the Stillers. Just let me know, and I'll be set. Sounds good, my friend. We'll catch back up with you. So there you have it, folks. 15 picks in. You got the New England Patriots going linebacker, not cornerback, and that's probably honestly something I would do. If not, if they're not going to trade up to get someone, then I would say go defense. Keep building that defense up. So first 15 picks, folks. Let's take a quick moment to kind of look back at these 15 picks, and I'm going to scroll down here and show it so everyone can see up on the screen, or at least hopefully see most of it. Actually, no, you're probably not going to see most of it. Either way. Here we go. Here's some picks here if you need to see. Here's the top half. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Trey Lance, Rashawn Slater, Patrick Surtain. Those are the first, 10 picks of the draft? 9 picks. Anything that jumped out to you? I know there's a couple little surprises. So anyone who wants to, make sure it's objective. Again, don't pat yourself too much on the back. But what do you think was the best pick of these first 15, and how do you think, not only from just a pure talent standpoint, but what do you think is the best team-specific pick of these first 15 so far? And like I said, I'll go to Kyle first because I know Kyle always wants to say something.
That's true. Always talking. I'll shout out to Kayla with going Justin Fields right off the bat. It doesn't seem like that's what the Jets are going to do, it seems like Kayla thinks that's what they do. I definitely think that as well. If there wasn't like what everyone views the generational quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, I think Fields would be the probably consensus first pick because he's not. I think it's maybe blinding a bit of how great he is, but I mean, truthfully, game-changing quarterbacks, I think, for both those first two teams, the Jags and the Jets. And since the Jets had the later pick, they got the better value, so I'll say the Jets.
I'm going to go with a cornerback here, and I think I got to go with one of the picks that George made, and it's J.C. Horn to the Dallas Cowboys. I just think that I just love the chip on the shoulder that this guy has for the position that you need to have the biggest chip on your shoulder, calling out all the media that doesn't have him as CB1, and I kind of thought about going with him in Denver, but I don't know. I think Denver will lean Surtain's skill set a little more, but I think J.C. Horn in Dallas, it's a home run for the Cowboys at a pass defense that needs a lot of help right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's again that might have been one of my picks. Again, I like the despite saying it wrong the first time, the Justin Fields pick. I did, like I said, there's a lot going on over here. If only you could see all the nonsense that's going on over here. And Groot is not helping too much. He's just more of a desk piece, but no, I liked again, the Cowboys are a team that I feel has again for a few years now has had a really good offense. They have a really good quarterback. They have really good pieces around him. I think the Ezekiel Elliott as the hands down best runner in the NFL days are over, but that doesn't mean that he's not a advantage to when he's on the field for the Cowboys. So you have to be able to build this defense because, look, I think one of the worst and most overused phrases and cliches rather in the NFL is defense wins championships. And I don't believe that. I believe they help, but certainly in this day and age, it's about the offense. But that doesn't mean that, again, you're not going to win many games when you can't stop the opposing offense. You need an offense to excel, is what I'm saying. That's the most important thing, in my opinion. You can't disregard the defense, which I think is what the Cowboys have done. And you combine that with some of their pretty big injuries that they've suffered at that position. And then again, taking flyers on guys that, are, one mishap away from being suspended indefinitely, and you can't bank on that anymore if you're the Cowboys, because again, it screws pretty much all your plans up. So let's move into the, I don't want to say second half, because I guess technically the halfway point would pick number 16. And we're going to go back to Braden with the Cardinals here. And, this is a team that last year picked number 1, Kyler Murray. All of a sudden you have number 2. 2 years ago, number 1, Kyler Murray. 3 years removed from that. This is a team that had its moments last year. Okay. But it kind of started to go downhill after the Hail Murray. They were set up to potentially go on a nice playoff run, but maybe they just weren't ready for it, because we've seen this from teams in the past. Sometimes you can only handle so much success. This was a team that I don't think was quite ready to win yet, and we saw them tail off at the end of the season. That doesn't mean that they're trending in the wrong direction. It just means sometimes you need to refocus and resettle yourself a little bit. How do the Cardinals do that, Braden, in this draft? Where are they going here to help either the offense or the defense?
Well, I think there's honestly a couple of different spots I could see him going here. I think offensive line is a spot that I would not be surprised by, but I think cornerback is kind of where I'm looking at here. We just talked about Dallas abandoning the pass defense for so long. Caleb Farley's had obviously the back questions. Apparently got the thumbs up though at the this year's combine event. I think he's probably the most natural athlete at cornerback this year. I would not be surprised to see them pull the trigger though on Northwestern's Greg Newsom II, who's he's dealt with injuries as well. He's not played a full season in college, so I think it's going to go down here to these two corners. But I think I'm going to have to pull the trigger on Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. I think they have their slot guy in Byron Murphy, but I think they need someone on the outside who can be physically dominant. Barley at Virginia Tech was really good in man coverage. Without playmaking ability, in my opinion, that I think he could be a turnover machine. So I think that is where I'm going to go here with this pick.
Quarterback certainly seems to be a premium spot here in this draft because this is now the third one gone in the first 16 picks, which, again, you can kind of see where how the NFL game has moved and the importance. And certainly, obviously, this speaks to the depth of the players in this particular draft. But, you really can't win in this league with subpar cornerback play. We're not just talking about your top two players. You need depth guys. You need, that nickel cornerback, which used to be just a guy, is now it's a very important position. And you need guys that are going to be able to fill out that depth, or you're just not going to win in this league. I mean, you just can't. There's too many talented passers. There's too much open offense in this NFL for teams to get by with poor cornerback play. So I like that pick for Arizona, and obviously I don't think they need anything on offense. They replaced, they've essentially replaced Larry Fitzgerald with AJ Green. Now, I think that's a great move. If AJ Green is healthy, that's a big if. I mean, he could go out and play 6 great games, but miss the entire rest of the season. And at that point, what's the point? Is it really helping Arizona? I don't know. So if say the offense is healthy, you got to build up this defense, and that's the only way that they're going to move through in a very competitive division. So we're going to stay with Braden because we got another AFC West team, the Oakland Raiders, coming up with pick number 17. The Raiders, they look, they've shown moments, they've shown flashes of things, I guess you want to call it, moments where they look like they're a competent franchise. But the bottom line is this team has not won since John Gruden took over, and he's going into year 5 of this 10-year deal. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It's either year 4 or year 5. Either way, you haven't seen his vision materialize yet on the football field, or whatever that vision is. And maybe he does envision going sub 500 and missing the playoffs every year, in which case then yes, we've seen that vision very clearly. I don't think that's it, but I'm starting to doubt whether or not they're going to be able to turn this franchise around. So Braden, if you were the Raiders, what are you doing with pick number 17?
I think edge rusher was kind of where I thought at the beginning of the offseason is where they could go, but it did kind of shore that up a little bit, getting Yannick Ngakoue in there. But I don't know what's going on with this offensive line. Their best part of their team, especially when you got a running back like Josh Jacobs. Not really sure why they decided to get rid of guys like, of course, Gabe Jackson, Rodney Hudson. They traded away Trent Brown as well. So I think you got to go offensive line here. I really, really love Elijah Vera Tucker, but I think if you're strictly talking for this team and the history of the Raiders, I think you got to go with Tevin Jenkins. He looks like a nice guy. He's going to smile at you, but he's one of the most dominant guys in this draft. If you want to talk about the meanest blockers, I think it's got to be Tevin Jenkins. So totally, I think a Raiders brand type of pick there at 17.
All right, so next, the Dolphins are back on the clock. Like I said earlier, the Dolphins have been wheeling and dealing prior to this NFL draft, and really they've been wheeling and dealing since the new regime took over just a couple years ago. Where do they go with pick number 18? Because this is a team that they kind of smell some blood in the water. The Patriots obviously have taken a step back. Not that, they're going to be back in the mix, I think, this year, but certainly with the departure of Tom Brady. And I think that's up to 3 or 4 times I've mentioned Brady. I'm counting myself if no one else is counting. The Patriots are in an adjustment mode. The Bills took the reins of the AFC East last year, but that's not a guarantee of future success. They still have to go out there each and every year and continue to grow, or this division is going to be wide open. And you know what? The Dolphins are the next team in that mix. I mean, the Dolphins, Patriots, and Bills, any one of them could right now win this division next year, and it would not shock me. Kayla, what do the Dolphins do to help better their chances to win that division in 2021?
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot more just speculation on people trying to figure out what they're going to do at pick 18 than there is at pick 6. I think, there's been a lot of talk about how, the Dolphins traded back down to 6 because they're confident that, there's going to be 3 or 4 guys there that they're comfortable taking on the offense. I think there's still a little bit of question left on the offense here at 18, but, people have said that they should take a running back at 18. I don't. They have Myles Gaskin, and he came as a diamond in the rough when everybody thought it was going to be between Jordan Howard and Matt Breida last year. So I'm good rolling with Myles Gaskin there. I also don't think they need any offensive linemen. They drafted 3 last year, and all 3 ended up playing at one point. And the first game that they played together allowed no sacks for the first time in I don't know how long for the Dolphins, and it was beautiful. So I don't need any offensive linemen, which means we're going to go to the defense. And at one point, they were first in points allowed and first in takeaways. And it was an incredible turnaround from a team that I'm pretty sure gave up like 80 points. Maybe that's a stretch. 60-something points in the first 2 games 2 years ago, and Brian Flores' first game. And covering the Dolphins was probably the most painful thing that I have done for this job. So there's a couple guys left on the board that struggling to choose between. I think they really need safety help. Eric Rowe stood out for them at strong safety, but other than that, you can't really name a safety on that team that really did anything for them last year. You can look at linebacker. They had a bunch of injuries. Thankfully, they're going to have Jerome Baker this year, and they traded for Benardrick McKinney from Houston, their favorite trade partner. But, the depth there, a little questionable. They have Landon Roberts, Vince Beagle, though. He's coming back, but, he had that Achilles injury. So I think they need somebody who's versatile on the defensive side of the ball, who can play in multiple positions. And as much as I thought I was going to go with a safety and go with Trayvon Mulring, I'm going to pass on him. And I thought I was going to take Kwity Paye because, he has the coolest name, but I'm going to pass on him too. I'm going to go with Azeez Ojulari, the outside linebacker from Georgia.
And to answer your question, Kayla, it was 102 points over the course of the first 2 games of the 2019 season. 59 to 10 Baltimore, and then 40.
I guess that's what happens when you give up 60 points in your first game.
Hey, you know what? Hey, if you think about it, that week 2 game against the Patriots, that was the last moment of joy where we got that image of it was like Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown, and just that whole bench. And now it's just like X. So it's okay. It's all right. Just think of that as like the dark before the light at the end of the tunnel. So,
well, I was so excited for opening weekend, and then there was the report that Ryan Fitzpatrick was introducing him to his offensive lineman in the huddle on the Friday before the game, and then it was boom, 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 touchdown to the Ravens in the first quarter, and I was like, okay, I'm still living in Baltimore. Is the Ravens game on? Oh wait, we're playing them. So is Washington playing? Okay.
Yeah, it was tough. I was a big fan of Brian Flores, so telling a bunch of people how great he was going to be, only to watch him get floored in the first couple of weeks, it was kind of tough. But I think at the end of the day, I think that can be looked at as a long distant and somewhat, I wouldn't say happy memory, but a footnote on what could potentially be a nice run here for the Miami Dolphins. So. We're back to George, but this time he actually gets to pick with his heart in mind, because we're actually at the team no name, the Washington football team. So they've been in the news for a number of different things. Kayla just mentioned Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's presumably the at least the week 1 starter for Washington, and I think it certainly makes them better because they could have used some pretty good quarterback play. Although Taylor Heineke did have himself a pretty fun playoff game. Not gonna lie. But obviously this team is looking for that quarterback of the future, but they also have some nice pieces around them. Where do they go in this case? And do you think it's going to be enough for this team to really compete for this division title?
So to be candid with the viewers and our listeners on the radio right now, I threw out some trade feelers to the rest of the league, but no one really bid. I called around the league. I was trying to see if I was trying to dangle Mac Jones out there, see if anyone would bite, but I didn't really see anything.
I almost pulled a Bears and traded up one spot when no one else would have traded up. I almost did that. I was like, I think Ryan Pace learned his lesson. He's not going to do that again.
Yeah, I was trying to test the water, see what the whole league would do. This is my rationale as a Washington, GM. Basically, our biggest needs are tackle and linebacker and quarterback because they're big needs, right? So I'm looking at 3 players right now. I'm looking at Elijah Vera Tucker. He can basically play guard or tackle, which I like. Another thing with him is that we have Brendan Sheriff. He's a second year on a franchise tag, and that was a very controversial move in Washington. We're paying $20 million for a right guard, and I think like Turney or Thurney, I forgot how to pronounce his last name. He's basically like $13 million. He was a Pro Bowl guard as well. We're overpaying for Ryan Sheriff. He's probably going to walk next year. So getting a guard, getting a tackle would definitely be appealing. Jeremiah Usu-Karamoa is definitely very appealing for us as well. He's arguably one of the best linebackers in the draft. He's very flexible. The talk in DC is he's kind of redundant to Landon Collins and redundant to Cameron Curl, if you guys are following the team. He can kind of flex out in the slot. He plays safety, plays linebacker. But, Landon Collins tore his Achilles last year and has a huge contract and probably will be cut next year at the end of 22. So we're looking at that. So those are my 2 players, but like arms tied, being pragmatic, like, man, I'm trying to invest in my team. You guys are going to smile at me. My fans are going to hate me. Or the Washington fans are going to hate me. I'm going to pick Mac Jones, man. If he's going to fall at 19, I got to pull the trigger. Washington, we tried to pursue Matt Stafford this year. We whiffed on that. We inquired about Sam Darnold. Look at Jared Goff and, a quarterback to sit behind Fitzy for a year, maybe a half a year, get him in there. It's a good long-term investment. So I think it's the way to go. Mac Jones, Biggie Mac.
Yeah, see, I think that was certainly the surprise so far of our draft is that Mac Jones was still on the board nearly 2/3 of the way through this draft. Now, again, I think people would be surprised because they figure, oh, well, there's no way he's going to last past 15. The Patriots are still there at the very least, but he did. And I happen to agree with my buddy Mike for the Patriots in terms of passing. Although, again, in this situation, for Washington, I mean, you're not – well, kind of like the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots know that, obviously, Cam Newton is not the long-term future, just as Ryan Fitzpatrick is not the long-term future of the Washington football team. I just think Washington is in a better situation to draft a young guy and go with it, whereas the Patriots, I think could be built for either a veteran quarterback, which they do have. And I think they do, despite what people say on Twitter and on social media, I think they have a lot of faith in Cam Newton. I think they believe that they've set themselves up nicely to succeed with him at quarterback, which opens up the door for a team like Washington to take Mac Jones if it so happens that he falls or continues to fall, because, after those first 3 picks, there's no guarantee that any of these quarterbacks will go off the board outside of, again, there's like a couple teams that you're looking at. But again, if the Patriots decide to not go quarterback, then all of a sudden it opens the door quite a bit. So next we have the Bears up in the NFC North, the team formerly known as the home of Mitch Trubisky, no longer the case. He's in Buffalo, but they are looking to get better and certainly compete in that NFC North division. What do they do here, Kyle? How do they fix their team? And there's a lot of things that need to be fixing.
My instinct is the offensive line. That's been kind of a struggle. Especially from the tackle perspective. I know recently brought in Cody Whitehair and has played well. He's been hurt a lot. Jermaine Ifedi. So they've brought in a lot of veterans to kind of plug some holes, but it really does feel like they need to invest in the draft. I know, a couple picks last year late, but nothing really early. So, the instinct is to go offensive line. Just looking through the team depth chart right now, I'm trying to see, is there any other glaring weakness? And, losing Kyle Fuller, but bringing in Desmond Trufant. So, I don't think corner is the answer there. Roquan Smith, Danny Trevathan's still there. I know there was some surprise, maybe thinking he might get cut. So it seems like they want to keep him. They want him to be part of it. So linebacker also kind of out of it. Edge rushers between Mack and Robert Quinn. Is there maybe room on the defensive line? Love Hakeem Hicks, but again, it's the same thing as mentioning earlier with some of the offensive linemen. It's just staying healthy. But ultimately, I think I think they need to go offensive line. I think this is a really good tackle class for them to go up in this range. There's still a few guys that I think have almost unanimous or close to consensus first round grades. So I don't think they're reaching for any offensive linemen. There's I think 2 guys here that I've seen with first round grades almost across the board. Samuel Cosme, I believe is how it's pronounced, 6'6", 309 pounds. It's really lean and really athletic, but kind of the frame of what you want in an offensive lineman. So I think the Bears have kind of ignored the O-line with large investments for too long, and I think it changes here. I don't think Ryan Pace wants to double down on another quarterback, knowing that if they do, they're probably not helping this year. They're probably gone. So I could see them, Ryan Pace trying to save his job. And if Mac Jones was there, maybe that temptation's there, but I don't think there's any quarterback worth taking. So I'm going to go Samuel Cosme for offensive tackle for the Bears at 20.
Look at that. And I had to scroll a little bit further to go find that one than most of them. So maybe that is the first, what would be considered a first round. Reach has a bad connotation to it. It makes it seem like it was a bad pick. No, it just seems obviously based on the big board that we're using here. Not one you would expect to go in the first round. But
typical Bears move, right?
Yeah,
so I'm mocking it. I see reality.
You're mocking it, or are you mocking it? That's the question. But no, I mean, again, just because it's a non-conventional move doesn't mean it's the wrong move. In fact, this could be the right move. I mean, everyone wants to go, and I say this all the time with, and I keep bringing it back to the Patriots, but watching them as a fan for so many years draft and watching how shocked fans were when they end up taking an offensive lineman. I'm like, well, what do you expect? I mean, why do you think that they're constantly? I mean, you can't go wrong drafting offensive or defensive linemen. If you can load up on them, if you don't have any other drastic glaring need and or players available to fill that need, might as well draft offensive linemen. Might as well, bulk that up because you never know when you're going to need it. Braden can attest to that. Again, it doesn't take much for you to lose that depth or to lose that strength of yours, and that's in the offensive line. So good pick. And again, I mean, whether it plays out, we'll see how that plays out. But you're right, though. They're probably not going to dive into the quarterback mix again because no matter what they did, it would be criticized because, well, the last time they did this, well, they picked Mitch Trubisky over a number of other quarterbacks that have clearly been much, much better. So we haven't heard from him since pick number 1. Yeah. As crazy as that sounds, way back when. Mr. Brad Harvin coming up with the Colts here at pick number 21. Where are the Colts going here? Because the Colts got a new quarterback too, and I think there's a lot of risk there with Carson Wentz, but they seem to like it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Colts are definitely fielding phone calls right now. They saw all their tackles go off the board, especially had their eye on Sam Kelsey going right before. So they're looking to kind of even move down, maybe get some more draft capital. Sure, they have a huge hole to fill on the left side with the retirement of Anthony Costanzo. He was Mr. Steady over there next to Quentin Nelson for a few years, and so they were certainly looking to beef up the offensive tackle. But seeing these guys fly off, it's going to be hard to get back there. But there's also a need for an edge rusher. I mean, the Colts, in my opinion, are pretty close, to get over the hump. I mean, I think they got the pieces in place. I'm definitely interested in see what Wentz does in the division. I mean, being a Jacksonville fan, I don't see it as a bad thing as I've seen kind of everywhere else. I mean, I think it's going to be very positive in a lot of ways. But you are going to want to protect him. But I think that you can still get some help in the latter rounds here. So I want to shore up the defense, and I want to go with speed, and that starts with Jalen Phillips down in Miami. Just a pure, just athlete. I believe he scored like a 9.9 on the what is it? The relative athletic score. I know I would probably get a 1.9. So I can only imagine a 9.9 for someone. I mean, I believe his shuttle times were ridiculous. I mean, great story. I mean, the kid, I guess, started off in UCLA. He dealt with several tough concussions, and ended up in Miami as a landing spot. And just had a great year last year. If anything, probably outshined Gregory Rousseau, his teammate down in Miami. So I think bringing some speed to Lucas Oil Stadium for the Colts, and just kind of just waiting a little bit more on a tackle, although that is a need. But Kyle ripped me apart right there, taking Kasi one before me. So yeah, I'm going to go with Jalen Phillips to get to the pass rusher.
Perfect. I like that pick a lot. And look, I liked your explanation so much. We're going to have you pick yet again, because next we got the Tennessee Titans. Again, another team that, I mean, look, this AFC South has the potential to have really 4 strong teams,
Sure.
even Jacksonville. And it doesn't mean that they're going to go to the playoffs, but there certainly can be more competitive with a better quarterback. Absolutely. But right now you have the potential to have really 3 to 4 really good teams in this division. And Tennessee is one of them. I mean, this is a team that was just in the AFC Championship game not too long ago. Ryan Tannehill's playing high-level quarterback. And they got a good structure around them. Although they have seen a bit of a talent departure this offseason. Where do the Titans go? Do they try to replenish some of that? The losses about Malcolm Butler, Dory Jackson. How do they replace that, or do they replace that in this draft or this round with this pick?
Right. I think when it comes to Tennessee, I think their window is closing, whereas the Colts' window of opportunity is actually opening up a little bit more. So, I mean, I think with the Titans, of course, you got the 2,000-yard rusher Derrick Henry back there. Tannehill's coming into his, hit his stride during his prime, but yes, they did have some attrition this year with the loss of some of the players that you mentioned, and then of course last year they fumbled at the draft. They're looking for redemption this year. They had Isaiah Wilson. We kind of know how that played out. Kind of went down to Miami. And now he's just fizzled away. So, looking for a little redemption in Tennessee. Definitely, their defense needs to be addressed. It's got to be another team that's just giving up a lot of points through the air. And so, I mean, edge rusher could make sense here as well. However, I'm going to go with a wide receiver, Rashad Bateman here. Even though they went out and got Josh Reynolds from the Rams, Kayla's buddy, I think that Bateman is going to be able to come in and he's going to be able to move around the offense. He's going to be able to play slot. He's going to be able to be on reverses. I think he's dynamic enough to give them an extra weapon, and they can go hunting for defense later on. I think. What if Reynolds isn't the answer, and Bateman can actually move into that second slot right away? So I like Bateman from Minnesota going to the Titans.
I gotta remember to unmute my mic every time I do that. But next we have, gonna have to take a quick breather there, Brad. We're gonna be calling on you not too long from now. Next we're gonna move to another AFC East team, and that is the New York Jets for the the second time in this draft. Obviously, they went quarterback first time around. Where do they go this time, Kayla?
Well, first, I just have to say that every time Josh Reynolds is brought up, I'm happy. But how could you say that he's not going to be the answer? He gave me such a great compliment. And then you're like, well, I don't know.
I said
I'm
if.
going to hold you to that. I'm going to remember. No, but in all seriousness, that's going to be fun to see. And I'm liking to see how he's going to pair with A.J. Brown and what else they add on offense. I think they will go offense too, like you said. And another team that's going to stick with offense, I mean, I think, a lot of people can look at the Jets and say they have a lot of question marks, a lot of places on their team. But, just kind of looking objectively all around, something that's really glaring to me is their running back position. team. I mean, right now on their official depth chart, they have LaMichael Pirine as their starting back. So if you want to win football games, I mean, I know the Dolphins started Kalen Ballage, but you can really only go up from there. But LaMichael Pirine really isn't that much of a step up. They have Ty Johnson. I know they went out and got Tevin Coleman, but he's had a lot of injury issues. So I really think that the Jets are going to go running back. And with my pick for the FPC draft for the New York Jets with pick 23, they will select Alabama running back Najee Harris.
Perfect. And that's obviously someone, surprisingly, the first running back off the board. I had assumed that maybe might have gone a little bit earlier, but someone obviously, looking at it from a Bucks perspective, that's a guy that, again, can do multiple things. You can catch the ball, you can run the ball, you're a playmaker, and these are becoming more and more of a premium position, certainly in this NFL, because, in this NFL, you don't really have that many lead backs, and you need guys that can do different types of things, and he's certainly a guy that, now here's a guy, as we all know, that will certainly be able to do different things like that. So it's about time we get our guy Mike Debate back on the phone, because he's coming up here with actually 3 of the next 4 picks. He sounds like the Patriots in the early part of the 2000s, just winning Super Bowls 3 out of 4 years. We actually have him 3 out of 4 picks. We're going to the phones now. Michael, are you there, my friend? We can hear him, kind of.
It's stealing our time for the Steelers.
Yeah. Mike, you have to press answer. Oh man. Yeah, well, it's supposed to be connected here. It looks like it's connected.
It's good.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
I'm not sure what happened there.
2 points for anybody that can. 2 points for anybody who got that reference.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't hear you at first, so we were wondering if you were even paying attention. But I knew you were.
I'm just glad to be heard. I'm just glad to be alive and among the living, folks.
Perfect. Well, you're actually coming in on both sides of my headset this time, so that's a good thing. I don't know if that was the same with everyone else. So, you're up, buddy. You got 3 of the next 4 picks here. We're gonna lay it out for you. Najee Harris just went to the Jets. Kayla picked that, so you're up with the Steelers with pick number 24, my friend, and you know how near and dear 24 is to our hearts. So.
Absolutely, yeah, for a lot of different reasons. First of all, I was born on the 24th, but most importantly, Jack Fowler, of course. Right. And anybody that listens to FBC Radio Live knows that Ian and I have very little interest, otherwise.
You say little intelligence or little interest? Because actually, both tend to work. So anyway, go ahead.
Look, Steelers have some needs. Cornerback is definitely in need, and you look at Greg Newsome II being out on the board. Definitely a tempting move for the Steelers in this case. Offensive line definitely a concern. Some people may even consider them going quarterback. Maybe they're looking for the guy of the future. And then there's also running back. But if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm looking at this class and I'm seeing a deep offensive line class and one of the better offensive linemen still on the board. For the Steelers, at number 24, I take Elijah Vera Tucker, interior offensive line out of USC. This kid definitely predominantly started at left tackle, but this kid does have an ability to start at guard, start at tackle. He's got a lot of versatility. Really love the way he's able to ground himself, especially in his kick slide. Got a lot of competitiveness. Really, when he's full rush, that's when you really see the best in this kid. And I think he's a very, very solid prospect on the offensive line. Steelers need help in that department, and I think Elijah Vera Tucker definitely provides it for them.
All right, perfect. Hey, just hang tight there, Mike, because we're going to get right back to you here in just a minute because we're actually swinging back to Brad for the Jags' second pick of the first round.
Yes. So similar to Kayla with, a lot of scrutiny around this second pick, like it was with the Dolphins. So, the Jaguars have been tied to several people. Trayvon Mooring, arguably the top safety in the draft. They've also been tied to some of the speedy guys. Urban Meyer loves his speed. We're talking, Elijah Moore, Rondell Moore, Kadarius Toney. all those guys that Urban Meyer would like to get the ball in their hands as quick as possible and to make a play. However, I think they're going to be available at the top of the first round, which, once again, coincidentally, the Jaguars are picking first in the second round. So I think what they're going to do here, I know they made some moves with the free agency and shoring up the middle of the defense, but I think there's opportunity to do that even more again. They've just been gutted the last couple of years against the run. Just no answers up front. So I think, once again, we're going to take another Alabama player and go with Christian Barmore. I believe he can come in, and I don't know if he can start right away, but he can certainly mentor and get into a rotation and possibly get into that starting role. I mean, at times Barmore was just absolutely unblockable in college, and I think with the new coaching staff there, and the thought that they're, possibly moving to a 3-4 kind of hybrid, which is something that Jacksonville's never seen down here. I think Barmore is going to be a great asset for years to come.
Perfect. And so, yeah, and this is the beauty of being a Jacksonville Jaguar. You get 2 picks in the first round, and you get to come right back and early in the second round and come back and pick. So, look, I mean, there's opportunity for this Jaguars team to improve very quickly and get themselves back kind of in the mix here. And obviously it starts with the quarterback position. I mean, you're not going to make this big of a jump just picking any guy. So, you make the right picks in the subsequent rounds, and you could have a pretty solid team moving forward. So we're going to go right back to the guy on the phone, Mr. Mike Debate, because you got 2 picks in a row here, my friend. You got the Browns and then the Ravens. So at pick number 26, where do the Cleveland Browns go?
Well, the Cleveland Browns are another team with a lot of different needs. A lot of them on defense. You could go edge here. You could go interior defensive line. You can definitely go cornerback. I mean, there's an option there as well. Even wide receiver in a pinch. But if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm looking at the edge rush as exactly what I need to upgrade, and exactly what I need to go along with a potent, offense and a defense right now that I think can even be more impressive in 2021. And I'm going to go with my hometown guy, fellow Bishop Hendricken High School Hawk, Kwity Paye of Michigan, going to the Cleveland Browns with this pick. And look, there's a lot of fundamental improvements that Kwity showed in 2020 during the abbreviated season. To me, I think there's still a development opportunity there for him, getting a chance to go to a team that definitely, you have a formidable defense there already. This is a kid that can play both ways. He can win with finesse, but he can get and be that hand in the dirt starting defensive end that can rush the passer, be effective in defending the run. I love Kwity's game. I think there's a tremendous upside. He's not the most polished defender in this class, which is why I think he will go probably in the bottom half of the first round. But at the same time, I really like Kwity's upside. So I like him for the Cleveland Browns at this pick.
All right. And I know you always have a soft spot for those Rhode Island guys, and certainly ones that go to there's like 3 schools in all of Rhode Island this big. But Next, though, we have the Baltimore Ravens, and Mike, you're up yet again, and the first of 2 Ravens picks here in the first round, because you're gonna be the penultimate pick of this first round, assuming that no crazy trades happen between now and then. Which, based on what's been happening so far, I'm gonna say there's not going to be any. Where do the Ravens go with pick number 27?
Well, I'm going to continue to live on the edge. I'm going to go with another edge rusher, and this may be a little bit of a surprise, but I'm going to go with him here. Joe Tryon out of Washington, and I think that in a lot of ways, he really projects, I think, as that outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense, but this is a guy that can set the edge. I believe he's explosive off the edge. He's got a lot of good upside, and especially the coaching staff in Baltimore, which is so adept at being able to nurture and cultivate those types of legendary, or at least formidable, for the lack of a better term, defenders in this league. This would be the ultimate and perfect opportunity for Joe. I like this pick for the Ravens. If he's there and he's the ability, then I definitely take it. But I think definitely in a 3-4 defense, this kid is NFL ready. If he gains a little bit of weight, gets a little bit more, scheme friendly, then I think he can be a 4-3 defensive end as well. But a lot of versatility, and I like his fit in Baltimore.
Perfect. And don't go too far, Mike, because you're coming up just again in a few picks. So I'm going to keep you on the line. You're going to have to listen to us this whole time. So,
sounds good to me.
Yeah, I don't feel like calling you again and risking losing the connection. So I guess that brings me to me. Well, we'll pick number 28 in the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Saints, obviously, this is they're ushering in a new era. Drew Brees retired this offseason. Presumably, Jameis Winston will be the starter this year with a little, some Taysom Hill sprinkled in. But this is a team that obviously went all in for the final year of Drew Brees' career. They have been flirting with cap disaster for quite some time now. And this is something that will not, it needs time to work itself out. On top of that, one of their best players have found himself in a bit of a legal trouble, Marshawn Lattimore. And that's a situation that bears watching because, we know how the NFL is and certainly they have the right and ability to suspend players or prevent them from being on the field. And when you're talking about one of your best players, if you're the New Orleans Saints, that's a big problem because I think a lot of people assume that this team is going through a transition. They will not be likely the division winners like they were a year ago. But at the same time, you don't want to see your best players off the field. So in this case, thankfully, Mike did not go this route with the Steelers, but they're going to go with Greg Newsome here and not only add to their defensive, cornerback group, but obviously this can act as a bit of insurance depending on what happens with Marshawn Lattimore, which, again, if you're the Saints, you have to keep a watch because even if he's out for 4 games or 6 games, I mean, that's, you want to be able to fill that position as much as possible. And just even moving forward, taking a guy like Greg Newsome, I think is going to be good for them moving forward, trying to rebuild this team and start to compete here in the next couple of years. So thank you, Mike, for not taking him with the Steelers because the Saints are going to swoop in and take Greg Newsome the second out of Northwestern. And that brings sorry, go ahead.
And that brings us to the Packers. Is
yes,
what I was going to
exactly.
say. Great minds, or not so great minds. You think alike anyway.
Well, let's say maybe they'll draft Jordan Love.
I mean, you're my boss, so great minds.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we'll do that. So actually, when Brad first mentioned with the Colts looking for trade offers, I almost considered speaking up. Ultimately, the reason I didn't is because there was still quite a few, especially defensive players that I really thought could fill some specific needs for the Packers. Really, there's 2 players right here that I haven't really fully decided yet. So we'll know once I start saying the name who it is. I think, and anyone who's listened to the Full Press Packers pod this whole offseason, I've been saying it, their biggest need is corner. They need someone opposite Jair Alexander that can shut players down. I've been probably the biggest supporter of Kevin King over the course of his rookie season, but I think he's back, which means they don't necessarily have the pressure to get someone who plays right away or even plays on the outside. They can maybe have someone who can move to the inside, and so they could do a lot of different things. So part of me is thinking corner is really needed, but ultimately the fact that this player is still on the board is kind of crazy and shocking. I kind of view him as the best player available. And I think with the Packers, not sure where he's going to fit in, but he seems like he's the type of player, he's just an athlete. You put him on the field and you figure it out from play to play, which can also help maybe confuse opposing offenses. So I know he's officially listed as a linebacker. I almost get the sense the Packers draft him, they might use him more as a defensive back, nickel corner, as a third safety at times. Notre Dame's Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah. I always have to say, I know on the Packers probably just call him JOK the whole time. Yeah. No joke. And the fact that that I got him without trading up is pretty shocking. I didn't think to see him here at 29. I know if Jesse's listening right now, he'd be super happy with this. This is one of his favorite defensive players in the whole draft. So the fact that he's here, he'd be mad at me if I didn't take him. So I'm going to go with Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah, I think.
Right. You know what? I was between for the Saints. It was pretty much between those two, and part of me almost like felt like I picked the one I picked just so I didn't have to try to pronounce the name, because one of my biggest fears, obviously, is talking all the time and not being able to pronounce people's names. It's terrible. Or just words in general. There's a few that I just don't know how to pronounce, apparently, and I can't do it. Rural, that just sounds weird to me. I can't. Peculiar. Actually, that was probably the best. Peculiar.
Yeah, I was gonna say you.
Yeah,
that
was actually pretty good. Normally, what happens is I'm like peculiar, and then it's just like word vomit, because my mind just plays tricks on me. So, so here we are. We're in the final three. The final three. We got Kayla coming up with the Bills. We got the Ravens and Mike, who's still on the line here, and myself carrying up the rear with the Super Bowl champion Bucs. So, Kayla, the Bills, defending AFC East champions. How do they keep that crown in 2021? And is this draft pick going to be a big factor in that?
Yeah, so unlike their fellow AFC East teams, you can't really look at their depth charts and see a glaring hole. I think, they answered a lot of questions last season, but if something had to stick out to me, it would be on the defensive side of the ball at the safety position. I look at Micah Hyde and I'm like, yeah, I remember his time in Green Bay. I liked what I saw. Has he been a benefiting factor for the Bills? Sure. But am I convinced that tenure is going to continue to go on and on and on? I'm not. And then you have Jordan Poyer, who's going to be there at strong safety, and I'm like, that's just a name to me. So, he's still on the board. Trevin Moehrig from Texas Christian, I think is somebody that they could really use depth-wise even at the safety position, because, they have Josh Thomas. They have I don't even know how to say his name. His last name is Johnson. Joaquin, Jaquan. I don't know. I don't even know what ethnicity he is. But after that, I think is done. So if they have a lack of people there, and I'm not confident in either, then I think that they need a safety. So Buffalo kind of tends to go defense first, like a lot of times. So I think that Moehrig safety pick fits in with that narrative as well. So I would take him with their 30th overall pick.
And the pick, oops.
Uh-oh.
Oops. Apparently I finalized the draft. Well, it's okay because how about that?
Wonder who the last two picks of the first round will be. Shocking.
Well, don't worry. We will. I am. Those aren't the official last two picks. We'll go through and fix this here in a second. But no, I guess it brings us to Mike. If he's still on the phone, Mike, you're still with us there, buddy. You're still there. Yep. Here it comes. No, Mike. I can hear him fumbling for the phone there. So,
delay tactic. He doesn't know who he's going to pick yet.
Smart on him. Go. There you go. It is a bit of a delay tactic. Mike?
I am here.
Okay, there we go. All right. There we go. All right. You are up with the Baltimore Ravens, and obviously ignore the what's on the screen right now with 31 and 32, because I I accidentally kind of pushed it forward a little bit and I wasn't supposed to. So, Mike, you're up with pick number 31.
All right, at 31 with the Baltimore Ravens, went with the edge rush earlier on. Still some needs. Get the possibility of a wide receiver. A lot of people think that the Ravens may go in that direction. Safety is a possibility. Of course, I applaud Kayla's selection. There for the Bills. Moehrig, I think, is definitely a solid prospect. I'm going to go offensive line here for the Baltimore Ravens, because I think that is an area of need for them. And who better to select than an offensive lineman that has a great deal of experience blocking for a mobile quarterback, similar to the style that Lamar Jackson plays at North Dakota State, blocking for Trey Lance. I'm going with Dylan Radins here for the Ravens in pick number 31. Aligns at left tackle, but I think he's got the ability to swing in a lot of different positions. In the run game, he really excels. He's an excellent run blocker, really wants to maul you, really kind of go over you, but he's very good at getting and moving defenders around at the second level. I think he's got a good lateral redirect agility that allows him to be able to withstand some pressure from edge rushers and be able to provide some blocking in the running game and block for a mobile quarterback. I've been doing a lot of scouting on Trey Lance lately, especially with, rumored Patriots interest or whatnot, and I've really gotten a chance to get to know Dylan Radins a lot, and I really like what I see here. I think this would be an excellent pick for Baltimore at number 31, so I go with Dylan Radins, North Dakota State, on the offensive line.
All right.
Radins to the Ravens. The name just fits so perfectly.
It does, right? And I guess this is the last pick. It has come down to me, and I did not plan this. It just kind of worked out that way. Look, I haven't in recent memory, I have not seen a defending Super Bowl champion have so little in the need department. It's been obviously talked about quite a bit that this team brought back all 22 starters, which is absurd to think about, especially in this day and age. You don't see it that often. I know the Chiefs last year did a good job of bringing back a lot of their key players, but I don't think we've seen an entire starting offense and defense return in the last, however many years since free agency started. Within after winning a Super Bowl, which has put this team in a hell of a position to go back and try to run it back, so to speak. So in this case, you got to look at just what's on the board and where can you improve your team. And one of the guys that they brought back in this situation was Ndamukong Suh. This is going to be his third season with the team. Obviously not a guy that you're going to look at as a long-term foundation piece. Obviously a guy that helps them now. So I think they look no further than the interior of the defensive line and look to add depth to that. And here I go. I'm going to try to pronounce the name, and I think I'm going to hit it, but Levi Onwuzurike. I think I got it. With pick number 32, because, here's – I use this unironically. Here's a guy that may not, in most situations, may not be NFL ready today. But when you can sit and play behind guys like Ndamukong Suh, you can play behind or next to guys like Vita Vea or JPP and learn from that defensive. And, of course, you add in Todd Bowles, obviously coaching him up. There's no pressure on him to perform. In a year or two, he can have a much bigger role, but for now, he plays a backup role and really refines his skills and really refines his his game in general to be ready to play at a high NFL level. And in this case, the champs they get richer. Let's face it, this team is drafting, and they can pretty much draft wherever they want. Given where they're at and the talent at the quarterback position, I don't necessarily see them as players in the quarterback game this year. Obviously, Brady can't play forever. That's 5 times I've mentioned him. But he is going to be playing for the next couple of years. So there is some flexibility with the Bucs when it comes to whether or not they can go for a quarterback or not. In this case, like I said, when all else fails, go interior of both the offensive and defensive line. And I didn't mean interior, just go offensive or defensive line. In this case, it's the interior of the defensive line, and I think the Bucs get better. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for hanging out here for almost 2 hours here talking NFL draft, doing the first round. We are going to publish this obviously as a post for everyone to read it if you tuned in, or if you want to go back and watch this again. Of course, this will be available on our Twitter account, on our YouTube page, and of course on our Facebook page as well. So I guess I'll ask you guys, any final thoughts, any final reaction to this, or are you all ready to get the hell out of here and go relax for the rest of the night? I'm going to take the silence as you're all ready to get the hell out of here. So, folks, thank you very much for tuning in, hanging out. This Thursday during round one, I will be back as well as many of our folks over at Full Press Coverage as possible as we kind of break down the actual first round. Although, like I said before, it pretty much played out before your eyes over the last hour and 50 minutes if you were paying attention. But if you do want to watch the real draft on Thursday, do so. And then, of course, tune in here. Same places, Facebook, YouTube, at Full Press Radio, at Full Press NFL on Twitter. You can watch us break it down and react to all these picks live and have some fun doing it. So for myself and everyone involved in this, even Mike, who wasn't able to get on camera, say thank you and give us a follow on those Twitter accounts, and be sure to check out all the great work at fullpresscoverage.com and all the other sites and podcasts. Have a great night, folks, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.